It's a desk. It's a desk.
Oh, you got a giant desk. Okay.
Yeah, the one that did I tell you Douglas got it for me?
Yeah. He's coming in a little bit handy. Yes.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Yes, he
Yep.
is. He's a good boy. That one. He's a good guy. But anyway, all right. So let me just make sure I'm okay.
I need one more. We sent the support staff home, so we're having to do everything ourselves. We're giving them the weekend.
Yeah. You're
Ready, Riri?
Yeah, I'm all set.
Cool. Let's go.
We're usually way more professional than us.
Oh, yeah.
No, you're good. Yeah, you're good.
That's right.
All right. So listen a little bit further. I'm so afraid to touch this desk.
Oh, you think it's going to fall?
I'm pretty sure, my abilities as somebody who knows how to build things are below average. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to collapse at some point.
Ready?
Let's go.
Ready?
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Whatever It Takes podcast. I'm your host, Rita Boom. With me always is Miss Anonymous. How you feeling today, Miss Anonymous?
I'm pretty good, except I can't wake up. So if I nod off, give me a poke.
It's not drugs. It's just
Not drugs. It's just tired.
Yeah, because we believe in hugs, not drugs here.
Yeah, we don't do drugs.
No, we don't do drugs. Our vice is gambling, and that's what we're here to talk about today. All right,
Wow.
So guys, I am so excited about tonight. I say this about every guest, but I mean it. When I say it, because I mean what I say, and I say what I mean, and I say it. And what did JoJo say? But say it nicely.
She said, say what you mean what you say, but don't say it mean.
That's right. Exactly. So just like that. But so today we have an amazing guest. It's actually a great look. It's a twist for our podcast. Wouldn't you agree, Miss Anonymous?
Yes. I mean, I've been hearing about Carl for a long time, so I'm super excited. We get a completely different viewpoint on the whole gambling situation, right?
Right. So here's a little backstory about Carl. Carl and I grew up together in Philadelphia. We ran around the same neighborhood. So one thing I didn't know about Carl when we were growing up was that he had a mother who raised him who suffered from compulsive gambling. And Carl and I linked up again recently. Came and stayed with me for a few days here in New Jersey. And we got to talking. And his story and just what he was telling me about life with a compulsive gambler, I thought would be extremely beneficial to our podcast. So I invited him in to come and tell us a little bit about what it was like growing up. What I saw you on the outside, but what was going on the inside?
Hey, thank you very much for having me on your awesome show. I appreciate it. It was very hard. I had to grow up very, very fast. I wasn't afforded, the luxuries that most kids have. You just have to go to school, get good grades, and, you do your own thing. But me, I had to do all that and pay all the bills at a young age, because my mom was a compulsive gambler. And, I used to always have to cover and be the adult for the, the bills. The rent was due. And I was only like 14, 15 at the time. And this continued well into my 40s.
Wow.
I moved out, had my own places, things like that. But she would always have to come to my house, my apartment, my house, whatever. And like, oh, the electric is cut out, or the water bill isn't paid, and it was all due to gambling, straight up. Like, I love my mom dearly, but I feel kind of cheated because I was robbed. I feel I was robbed.
How old were you, Carl, when you first could remember her being a gambler? How old were you? Young?
Yeah, I was very young. Like, I want to say like it started when I was like 14 or 15, but then it really got bad once they opened up the PA casinos, and that was like in the late '90s, early 2000s. So when the PA casinos came to PA, the casino was like right down the boulevard, and my mom was always there. She was always there, and
Wow.
that was a big hindrance upon her lifestyle and mine as well, because I was trying to raise a family and do right, by them, but I also had to take care of my mom. So that was like really difficult. I wasn't in that situation where it's like, oh, you have parents that take care of themselves and they can take care of you. Like, nah, I was never in that situation. Never in
Wow.
that situation. I always had to, cover for her, make sure the bills were paid. So it's really hard, and because of that, I never got into gambling. Like never.
Real.
Like once I win like $50 to $100 at a casino, I'm out. They're not getting
Good.
that money back. Once I win some money, I'm out. But because of that, I never ever, became a gambler, because I seen like the dark side of that. I seen what it could do. Like, for instance, like this house that I'm in right now, lovely house. This house should have been paid off like in the early 2000s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's still not paid off because my mom had, she got a lot of refinances and took out a lot of mortgages
Yeah.
due to her gambling. And, due to that, I'm still actually like, playing catch up because of, her faults, her mistakes. I'm still, dealing with that right now. And she's been going like 6 months now. She passed in July, but I'm still dealing with everything. Like, had multiple refinances and mortgages on the house. I'm still dealing with her debt, things like that. So, it was real hard.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Just want to take a minute to say I'm real sorry for your loss.
Likewise.
Can you, did she ever like win big? And did she,
Yeah.
a lot of compulsive gamblers, we can win big, but we go right back the next day.
Right.
Exactly. See, she did win big, and when she did win big, she would always share the wealth. You know what I mean? But it wasn't nothing compared to what I was spending on her habit, you know what I mean? Or what she was spending on her habit. You know what I mean?
Right.
She would like 5, maybe like 10 grand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was like maybe like once every couple months. You know what I mean? So you factor in that, those winnings, but you also got like what she spent. She would spend well over 30 grand easily a month.
How
Wow.
did How did she, I mean, I used other people's money, if you know what I mean, but how did she afford it?
Okay, so what she did was, for one, she got many mortgages on the house. You know what I mean? Of course, when you do that, you refinance and all that, and you don't need to, they're going to give you money for the equity you have in the house. You know what I mean? You can take a lot of mortgages.
Yeah.
So it's that. And then she also borrowed against her 401k at work, and she was there for plenty of years. Like, I want to say like well over like 20 years. So her 401k was like pretty hefty at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she took all that money out, and what she was supposed to retire with, and she was just going to casino all the time with all that money. You know what I mean? And it went very fast. Instead of like repaying her mortgages off and all her bills and all that, she decided to gamble everything away. Like, so.
Yeah. Did she ever lose the house and have to buy it back, or cars, or
Fortunately, no.
Thank God.
She was always there. I was
Thank
always there to help save the house. Like, even when I lived in other apartments and things like that, I would always like assist her and bringing the house like under control. You know what I mean? Like making things under control. I remember when she filed for bankruptcy, like I want to say like 3 years ago. I had to go down to the lawyer's office with her and help pay for the bankruptcy, lawyer, her bankruptcy, all that. And
Yeah.
you know, I was making payments of like $600 a month. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So you had that on top of, you know, me
Yeah.
being a single dad, and you know what I mean,
Mhm.
trying to raise my kid. It's hard. It was really hard, straight up.
Did you ever have like disagreements with her and y'all just stopped talking?
Yeah, not. I want to say we had disagreements. We had plenty of disagreements because you know I would always call her on what she put me through. I'm not gonna lie. You know what I mean? I would always call her out on that.
Yeah.
I would always call her out on that. You know, and she, you know, I seen it in her eyes. She did feel bad about the way, you know,
Yes.
I was raised.
Mhm.
But you know, we had disagreements, but I knew
Were
what
you
it
an
was.
only
You know, I
child?
was in the adult. I'm sorry, what's that?
Were you an only child?
Yes, I'm her only child. Yeah.
Okay.
Now my dad, Papa was a Rolling Stone, so I got like three brothers by my dad, but you know,
I got that.
I'm my mom's only child. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
You
so
know,
it was just me. Though. It was just me. Everything was put on me, so I didn't have any brothers or anything
Yeah.
to assist me. Now I had relatives that were trying to help me out, but of course, you know, they were doing their own thing as well. Like I had cousins and all that, but they're adults and you know they have families, and there's only so much they can do.
Right. And they look at us as like selfish and why can't you just stop? And, you know,
Right.
money makes people different. Money is a totally different entity.
well, I agree, but you know, from this side of the fence, I'm going to tell you some things like, and take what you need and leave the rest. I can tell you that I'm sure your mother loved you deeply. I'm sure she never, ever, ever meant to hurt you. I'm sure that she has this illness like I did and like Rita did, where Carl, we couldn't stop. There was nothing that we could do. I had to fall flat on my face. And I did horrible things, Carl, to my family, to my kids, my mother, my dad, horrible things in only 120 days. That's all I'd gambled for was those days nonstop. And it took me that fast, Carl, and I could not get a hold of it. And I would give anything that wouldn't have happened. And I can probably 100% tell you that's how your mom felt too.
Right. Yeah, I definitely seen it. You know, she was
Yeah.
sorry for a lot. Like, and like towards the end, because I became her caretaker towards the end. She had a series of strokes.
Wow.
Yes.
You know, and her health started declining once she had those strokes. So she needed a caretaker, and I was her caretaker. And you know, me and her would have talks, and I could tell she was sorry about you know a lot of stuff she put me through. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I was always a independent person, always. But I think a lot of that comes from me having to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to be independent. You know what I mean? Or if I wasn't, you know, I would, you know, not have any clothes on my back, or you know, be a bum or drug addict or something. Like I knew what to do. Like I mean, but I think a lot of that came from me having to raise myself. You know what I mean? So it's good and it's a bad thing. I'm not gonna lie. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
good because
Well,
I'm independent, but
yeah,
you know,
it is both of those things because of the person that you are, that you did step up, helped her out, and then at the end of her life took care of her, you know. And if she started gambling about the time you were a teenager, your personality was already formed and your mom did that. You know, your character,
exactly.
your integrity and everything like that came from your mom in our early years. I don't know what sucked her in. I don't know what sucked me in. But I know that I couldn't stop, and you know, we go over this over and over. We hurt so many people that we didn't mean to, for sure. I think it's a miracle that you don't gamble, that you didn't like, you know, we just didn't have ways to cope with life. And I don't know what her situation was, but you know, the casino opens up and there she goes. And, you know, I can understand that she was on a hamster wheel, just going over and over, stepping off to try to figure out to get money. It's a horrible life to lead. It really is.
Yeah.
You know, that's why we wanted to kind of see your viewpoint and see kind of what it was like to have to be the one to always pick it up.
Did you understand that she had a problem? Like, did you understand that like it was difficult for her to stop, or?
Yeah, I did. You know what? I understood it was difficult for her to stop. You know, in my when I got to my like 20s and things like that. You know, because she would always go, and I would always tell her, I'm like, yo, mom, why are you like hanging out at the casino, wasting all this money? Like, why are you doing this shit? Like, you mean,
Yeah.
why are you doing this shit? But I knew it was a problem. You know, I knew it was a problem while she was doing it. And there was plenty of times I had to actually go to the casino because you know, she couldn't drive home. She was you know, too wasted to even drive home. So I had to go up there to pick her up. You know what I mean? And
Right.
things like that. You know what I mean? Or you know,
Do you think she had more than one addiction besides the
I
gambling?
just think it was gambling. Honestly, I know it was gambling. I know it was
Yeah.
gambling. That was it. That was her only addiction, and I think what got her into that was the lure of money, the
The dream world. Yeah.
the prospect of money. You know what I mean? And that goes back to like, you know, even like my dad. I mean, my dad, he wasn't really a good guy. I'm not gonna lie about that. He wasn't. You know what I mean? But you know, he did make money. He was a horse trainer, and I'll be honest, he was a gangster. He was a, you know what I mean? He sold coke on the side, so he's a drug dealer.
Right.
So by her getting with a person like that, she was always like, you know, lured to money. I'm not gonna lie, she was, and that's what honestly lured her. Now, this is just my thoughts. You know what I mean? I don't,
right.
I love
it. That's what I'm thinking. You know what I mean? Like that's what lured her, like the money side,
the excitement,
like,
the bad. Yeah, I mean, it's
right.
It's
like I mean, she got hyped up about like the prospect of her winning all this money, but it's like, yo, how much you spending on the prospect of winning this money? How many, you know, lives are you ruining for the prospect of getting this big payout? It's not worth it. Like, it's not, in my opinion, it's not worth it. So
it's not. Absolutely, it's not.
it never stops.
You're right.
It's never enough. You know what I mean? It's never
Well,
enough.
they call it, I've heard people call gambling the disease of more because we always want more. You know, we had a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and this, I think it was Rita's sponsor was saying, like, you can give an alcoholic 50,000, they'll go buy alcohol and eventually kill themselves. Same way with the drug dealer, you can go, they'll buy a bunch of drugs and use the drugs and eventually die. A gambler, you can give them 50,000, they'll be back in 30 minutes asking for another 50,000. It's just more. And it's a vicious cycle. Yeah. So how are you? Like, did you always know you wouldn't gamble at all? Is that what you teach?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it was I never gambled, but I always had like a lock on it. Like, you know, I remember on my 23rd birthday, me and my buddy went to Atlantic City, and I was just, you know, we were like on the wedding streak. It was at the blackjack tables, and I won easily like $3 to $4 grand easily, right? So I'm like, man, they're not getting this money back. I stepped away. Like, I mean, I know when to step away. Like, they're not getting this back. Like, no, if I keep gambling, then they're gonna, you know, win it back slowly. Nah, not happening. Nope. Bye. I'm out with your money.
I wish I had that mind frame.
When to stop. Always knew when to stop. Like, even, you know, not even at the casinos. Like, you know, in my cousin's neighborhood, you know, in Bristol, we used to always shoot dice on the corner. You know what I mean? And, you know, I was young. I was very young. I was like 13, and I would win like hundreds of dollars off like the drug dealers in the corner, you know, shooting dice with me. I'm like, all right, I'm going home. They're like, oh, no, young boy, I got to win my money back. I'm like, nah, it's not happening like that. I'm out. And then we get so mad, but I had older cousins. That was like, nah, he's going home with your money. Fuck that. But I always knew where to stop. You know? I never had that addiction. Like, no, like, you know, as soon as I'm up like $200, I'm out. Yeah, I'm gone. I'm out. So.
Where were you when I was gambling, man? I could have had you by my side. Let's get out of here. We should have hung out more, Carl.
Yeah. And I remember when me and my ex-girlfriend went to Las Vegas. Went to Las Vegas like in 2005. I didn't even really gamble there. Like I did some gambling, but I used I used all of the casinos free money they would give us for doing timeshares. I mean, they would give us like $500 in casino play.
Yeah.
Just kept like deal with a 2-hour timeshare. Man, I would wake up early just to go to the timeshare tour just to have extra money to gamble. So I always had that type of mind. Like, I'm not spending my money. I'm going to spend your money.
Yeah, that's right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
He's so smart.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, I never had an issue with gambling. Never, ever. Like, never.
I think that's great. Especially, I think it's a part of this addiction is, I want to say hereditary, but it's more, I think, in the way that we see our parents gamble, pick up those habits.
Right.
So hats off to you that you didn't. You're the type of person the casino hates because you win money and you go home.
Right.
You keep it.
I grew up with parents who glorified it. You know what I mean? Like, they glorified it. And even at Christmas, my dad, somebody asked him, do you want us to put on the football game? And he's like, nah. He's like, I don't watch that anymore. He goes, I don't gamble anymore. He goes, it's only fun when you're gambling. And I was like, I didn't say anything, but I definitely heard it. And I was like, like, I get it. But, it's fun to watch. But, well, I don't watch it anymore, but... but that has nothing to do with gambling. But so Carl, growing up, was there ever a time that you were embarrassed by your mom and her gambling?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, yes. And it wasn't like my peers didn't know I was like. My peers never knew I was embarrassed by her, but it was the circumstances. For instance, like a lot of my friends were like, have like extracurricular activities or, like bigger houses and things like that. And I always lived like in a little apartment and always had to pay the bills. And, if I wanted to engage in extracurricular activities, I had to pay for it or find a way to pay for it.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And all my other friends, like, their parents were paying for everything. And, I was kind of jealous of that. It wasn't like embarrassment, towards like my mom, but I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of like, green with envy because, they can like live a normal kid life, and I had all these responsibilities. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I was kind of jealous of that. I wouldn't use the word like embarrassed by her gambling because, nobody ever really. My close friends did know, but she was never out there like that where people knew. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
I was always jealous of. They got to live it. My friends got to live a kid-free life as a kid, and I always had to pay bills. Work at a young age, things like that. So.
How old were you when you got your first job?
Oh man, when I got my first job, I was like 13.
I was 12 when I had my first job.
Yeah, I was 12.
I did.
My first legit job, I worked at McDonald's when I was 13, and my mom took me to the I don't know if you guys remember this, the City Hall to get a work permit.
Yes.
You had to get that back in the day. You know what I mean? You had to get that to like before you were 16, you had to get a work permit. You know what I mean? No, I did have a job when I was 12. I cleaned like church parking lots. I worked for a pastor cleaning church parking lots, and that was cool. But
was she religious?
First job.
Was your mom religious?
Yes and no.
And she was at the table. She was.
Yeah, we were all praying at the table.
In front of that slot machine, she was praying.
She was like she grew up in a very religious household. Most of my family is Jehovah's Witnesses. Most of them.
Oh, that's serious,
of them. Yeah. So that's like really, really strict, and she grew up in that household.
No
Yeah,
birthdays.
she never raised me like that, you know, and I think she kind of like fell out of that religion as she was like, you know, got in her 20s, teens, and things like that.
Mhm.
She fell out of that religion, but she would always go to the Kingdom Halls with my grandma and you know her brothers and sisters and things like that, and she was always like going to a Baptist church as well with her best friend. You know, she would go sometimes, and sometimes you know she would have like a Bible study here. You know, at the house, she would have a Bible study with a couple church people. So she was religious, but you know, I don't
So
think she had like a defined
did
religion.
your grandparents know that your mom, that you were having to pick up the slack and be an adult?
Yeah, I think that was long, had long passed since I was like
Okay.
8 years old. He long passed, but my grandma, she definitely knew. She definitely knew because my mom would go to her house after like the casino was in Ben Salem, and my grandmother and all my family, my grandmother lived in Bristol. That's like a hop, skip, and a
Mhm.
jump away. You know what I mean? So when she would pull a all nighter at the casino, she would sometimes go to my grandmother's house. You know, so my grandmother definitely knew. Like, you know what I mean? She definitely knew, and you know, she would see it in my face, and you know, hear
Yeah.
conversations and things like that. So she knew, but there was nothing she could do because she was on her way out of this life as well. You know what I mean? My grandmom died in like 2005. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So
Your mom would leave you alone at night while she was at the casino?
I mean, yeah, but I was already yes, but I was already a teenager by then, so it wasn't like really bad. You know what I mean?
By
It
the
Yeah.
time
wasn't
you
bad.
opened,
I
yeah.
was like, yeah, I wasn't like you know a little kid being left by
Yeah.
myself. It wasn't nothing like that. I was like a teenager by the time she started going,
Right.
and you know, I would you know have to you know wake myself up for school and things like that, or you know
Wow.
if it was like a weekend, I had to you know go to work. But yeah, yeah, she would definitely like you know leave me for periods at a time. But
Mhm.
I was well into my teens by that
Yeah.
So
time. So,
at the end of her life, when you're the caregiver and everything, did y'all have a heart to heart about all of this? Does she know?
yeah, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, we had plenty of you know heated conversations about this because I'll give you an example. Like it was like in 2015 or
Mhm.
16. Me and my ex-wife, we moved back into this house in like
Mhm.
2016. And we were about to move, you know, get another condo somewhere, wherever, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But my mom was like, yo, you know, you guys can move back to the house, you know, just help me pay the bills, it'll be cheap. I'm like, all right, cool. You know, so we had a set amount, you know, that I would pay each month. And I
Mhm.
was doing that. I was doing that. Months pass, you know, a damn near a year passes. And my ex-wife calls me one day. She's like, "Yeah, the lights are turned out, the power's off, the water's off." I'm like, "What the hell?" Like, yeah, I've been paying all this money each month for these things and not to have it. You know what I mean? So I questioned her on that. You know what I mean? I'm like, "Yo, where's all this money?"
Yeah.
I'm giving this to the. I'm paying the bills. I'm like, okay, well, I'll call the power company. I'll call the all that. So I did all that. Come to find out, she hasn't been paying anything.
Wow.
Like, and that's why they paid it all off. So all the money I was, you know, giving her to make sure the lights were on
Yeah.
and all that, so my family had basic needs. She was gambling all that away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She was
Yeah.
gambling all that away, and I found that out. Like Pico, you know, I was paying like I want to say like I was paying Pico like $200 for instance a month.
Yeah.
Come to find out, she didn't pay Pico like in 6, 7 months.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yes.
So that was just Pico. You know what I mean? Now we get to the water. I was paying the water bill. You know what I mean? The
Uh-huh.
Right.
water got cut off. So it's like gas. Like it was horrible. I'm not gonna lie. You know what I mean? So I had to like set up arrangements with all these
Oh no.
you know, utility companies. I had to set up arrangements because she wasn't paying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And on
Yeah.
top of that, like the house was getting ready to be foreclosed on. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Scary.
So I had to deal with that as well. And I'm like, yo, I've been paying my bills, but even using my money that I've been paying you to do your own thing, and that's not right, because I mean my daughter's now 14, but at the time she was a little kid, you know what I mean? So it's like,
Right.
and I wanted to do the right thing by my family. Like, you know what I mean? I was paying my bills.
Yeah.
Whatever you do it as an adult, that's all to you. Like, but don't put me at risk and my family at risk for your illness. Like, no,
Exactly. Yes.
don't, God be with you, but don't,
You had every right to. You had every right
Did
to be
she
angry.
ever try to stop, Carl? Did she ever look for treatment in any way?
Yeah, she kind of stopped going. I'm gonna say maybe for maybe 3 months, 3 to 4 months, she stopped going to the casino. You know what I mean? But I really think that it was more of a loneliness thing. You know what I mean? And she found companionship with going to the casino. You know what I mean? Because my mom really didn't have any boyfriends or anything like that. Her last boyfriend, I was 22 years old, you know what I mean? So she never really had anybody in her life to say, hey, chill, settle down. You need to think about your son and his family and things like that. You don't need to be doing, but I think that, she knew because she But I think it's more of a independence thing. Like she, I see now.
It's your internet. Sometimes Zoom in and out.
Oh, it drops out. Okay, sorry about that.
No, you're good.
No. I was just saying to Rita. I mean, you seem like such a nice guy. I'm glad I got to meet you.
Thank you.
It's I think your word would be resilient. You grew up with your mom who you loved so much, and you.
It's great that you still loved her too so much too.
I love that. My son didn't talk to me for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He doesn't want to even talk about it. I can't make an amends to him or anything. I've tried, but I love the story of how you took care of her. You stepped up, man.
Yeah.
She needed you. You stepped up.
Thank you.
Do you think it was easier for you to accept the fact that she had an addiction because of growing up in Philadelphia and the fact that we had more addiction around us than say somebody in a small community?
You know what, yo? I think yes, but I think her addiction came from like childhood trauma. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like I said, like the pain and shit. Like because my mom, the way she grew up, she grew up in a small community, and it was a bad community. I'm not gonna lie. Bristol, the terrace was horrible. Crack was running rampant, and my grandmother was always on Section 8 with a boatload of kids. So I think it was like more childhood trauma that steered her towards the addiction she had with the casino. And like I said, it's greed and the lure of money. Like I really think that had a lot to do with it. You know what I mean? That had a lot to do with it. Because she fell for my dad because he was a gangster, had money, and all that shit. You know what I mean? So
put up with a lot of stuff that most women wouldn't put up with
money
because of it.
Yeah.
Right.
She saw the money. She wanted the money. We call it living in a dream world. We all do it,
Yeah.
And my dad would tell me, I remember back in the day, I wasn't even call my dad at all, but I knew who my dad was, and he would come around every now and then and give me a couple $100 or take me to the racetrack actually up in New York to bet money on the horse, and the horse would win. So that was kind of cool. But he would always tell me, he was like, "Yeah, your mom likes money. Like, you know what I mean? Your mom likes money." So you think you're gonna get back the money you spent? Nah, you're never gonna get that back because she likes it. Like she already spent it. So my dad would always tell me shit like that. So I think it's like the lure, though. The lure of money and greed, honestly. Like, that's what,
It truly is,
Yeah.
It's especially if she grew up just very poor,
Mhm.
in a situation, and you think, oh, money can get me out of this when it really doesn't. It just makes
It
it worse.
does.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Makes it worse. Now, would you say you have a daughter? What would you?
Yeah, my daughter, she's 14 now. She's
Now, what
14,
would you
yep.
say to her? What would you say to her? I mean, we had
She know the story?
Miss Anonymous had somebody in a room that was
Mhm.
14 years old the other day. I mean, that shocked the hell out of me. What would you say to your daughter? I mean, nowadays these kids are playing online. They're
Yes.
phones.
Yeah.
What would you say if you caught her gambling?
Man, as long as, she doesn't get addicted to that, I really don't care. Like, if she's like me and, like, gambles like here and there, like, just for fun, whatever. You know what I mean?
Takes
Like,
it and runs.
I don't mind that, but just don't get addicted to it. And my kid, she doesn't have, like, the lure of greed, and money doesn't, tempt her at all. She doesn't give a fuck about that at all. Just like me. So she doesn't care about, like, money or greed or anything
That's
like that.
great.
She doesn't care about that shit. You know what I mean? So
That's good.
she's growing up in a different environment. I'm raising her in a much more positive,
Stable.
stable environment, and I'm teaching her not to. Money isn't everything. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, money isn't
So
everything. Like, it allows you to do stuff and be more of who you already are. That's it. Like,
Yeah. It just costs.
money is not the root.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why it says in the Bible, what is it? It takes a rich man. It's harder for a rich man to get into heaven than a poor man,
Exactly. Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
It is true. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yep.
So crazy. Well, Carl, we really do appreciate you coming on today.
Oh, thank you. It's so much fun. And you know what?
Very nice
This
to
is very
meet you.
therapeutic for me as well. Like, I'm glad I got to tell my story and share with you guys. It was very therapeutic. So thank you very much for having me.
You're helping save lives, man. You're helping save lives.
Yeah, we're here to save lives. It gives us a whole nother outlook. Wow, I'm just kind of blown away. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. No problem, man. Anytime you guys, want to pick my brain about being a child of a compulsive gambler, I'm here. I'm here. So whenever you want to pick my brain, I'm available. So.
Well, you come down and see me this summer, and maybe we'll do a follow-up interview.
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
That'll be fun.
Right? Yes, in the summertime. Yep, I'm with you. Yes, I'm with you. Yes, yep.
You know where I'm at, man. You know where I'm at.
All right, cool. How's my boy, Leroy? How's Leroy doing?
Oh, he's awesome.
He's thriving.
All right, cool, That's my boy. Very cool. That's what's up, That's what's up. I'll definitely be down. But this is it. Thank you very much for you guys having me, and I'm always here. So thank you very much. It was very therapeutic, and just getting this out really helps me. Like, it does. You know what I mean? Because I don't have like a therapist and nothing like that. Like, but talking to you really does help me. So thank you very much. I do appreciate it.
Here, and
we're always here, man.
Definitely make sure your daughter knows the story. I gambled responsibly for many, many, many years until I was the caretaker for my mom and didn't know how to cope with it. And so, I was off and running before I knew about it, before I even understand what was happening to me. But anyway, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm going to turn it off right now.
All right, you ladies have it.
What's up, guys? It's Rita BOOM here, just telling you, if you enjoyed this podcast, get on there and leave some comments, all right? Whether you liked it, you didn't like it, if it's good enough of a comment, we're going to read it online. Know why? Because it helps our algorithm. That way we don't have to charge anybody anything crazy like that. So, again, leave the comments, we'll read them online, and boom, boom, boom. Don't place a bet today, okay? All right.